Hi, everyone, and welcome to Workout Wednesday. My name is Jeanette, and I'm so happy that you joined us. This is a weekly podcast talking about all things health, wellness, fitness, and lifestyle. And you can find this on SoundCloud at Butoga Lifestyle. And also now, make sure to look for hashtag Workout Wednesday on Spotify and iTunes. And I'm so excited today to have the amazing Dr. Lori with us. Yay! I'm so excited about this. Dr. Lori has been such a great resource and expert in all things health and wellness. And I met her through a good friend of mine, Bob Choate. And we have just connected and been good friends ever since. And she was our nutritionist, our on-call nutritionist at my gym. She helped us through so much and still does. My goodness, she's a 4-time best-selling author, health and wellness expert, health and nutrition expert, podcast host, has her own, was on Fox News, CBS, The Doctor's TV, which is awesome. Huffington Post, top health expert. So we are getting the best right here today. So hi, Dr. Lori. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Jeanette. I've been looking forward to this, really. Just to get to connect with you and your audience is really good. It's wonderful for me. So thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Thank you. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. Let the audience know your greatness.
Well, thank you. I am I have a doctorate in psychology. I am a nutritionist and a certified professional life coach. And so I was raised with a single mother who had a constant stream of different health conditions. Most of the memories that I have of my sweet mother are of her being ill with one thing or another constantly. And so, my mother's choices, though, and I even knew this intuitively, even as a young girl, really played a large part in what was going on with her. So she smoked a pack and a half of cigarettes a day. She was verging on obesity. She had a horrible diet of sugar mostly and refined flours and that type of food. And she was under a lot of chronic stress. So you can imagine the kind of stress one would be under trying to raise 3 young children all on your own. And we had no father. He was missing from the picture. Her family lived out of state. We had little income coming in. And so you just combine all of that chronic stress with the health conditions and the lifestyle choices. And it was horrible. I mean, she was just really a wreck. And so emotionally, she just left a lot of the nurturing with me. And I had to essentially take care of my 2 younger brothers. So I cooked for them and took care of them. And, I was so young that I would often make them eggs for breakfast, dinner, lunch, you name it, right? And so they hate eggs to this day. But as time went on, her health deteriorated and she died at the very young age of 36, leaving behind 3 young children with literally nowhere to go. And so they found my father. And my brother went to go live with him. My youngest brother went to go live with a friend of the family. And I went to go live with my grandparents in Texas on a ranch. And so we were never to live together again. And I remember at her memorial service that, I made the decision that I wanted to help my mother so much make different choices in life that became my calling in life, to just really let people understand that no matter what your condition, no matter what's going on in your life, you have choices to make. And they can always be better choices. And so my mother didn't have that information, and I was too young to help her with that. But suffice it to say, that got me on the path of going into the helping profession of counseling psychology, and I counseled at-risk families for many years, became vice president of a nonprofit. And during all of that time, I was very much interested in health. Even as a young child, I was interested in health. Probably why I paid attention to what my mother was eating. And so I decided, after seeing how my clients' health changed, their behavior changed, their motivation with their children changed, and their children's health changed, but simply by giving them a grocery list. That's all I did. They went and got the groceries, the healthy foods. They stopped buying the junk for the most part. Their lives changed. And I said, I really love seeing this. I love helping these people not only help them get better in their life, in their emotional life, but also helping their health as well. So I decided I was going to go back to school again. And so I became a nutritionist, got my degree in that and life coaching, all with the intent of creating my own company called HealthWorks. And that's what I've been doing ever since.
Wow, what an amazing story. I love that backstory. Wow.
Yeah, it's, life throws challenges your way, and you just have to really figure out, you have choice, right? We all are at choice. And so that's what we need to do. But we all also need knowledge. So.
And there's so much of that out there, not so much, there's a plethora of information, I should say. Sometimes it's not so much knowledge, right? But so much information that people are overwhelmed with what works and what doesn't work and what's true, what's not true. Like, what would be your advice to help people decipher through that?
Well, always look to people who are credible, okay? And if you see people who are spouting off information, double check it. Go to the research. PubMed is a great place to go to, for example. Google, Scholar is fantastic. Anything that's going to give you research, and always look for ideally randomized control trials, RCTs for short. Those are really the gold standard. But for the most part, if you don't want to go through all of that, just really pay attention to what people are saying, credible health experts are saying, and then do some follow-up research on that. That would be my advice.
That's great. I love those ways to look at it. Is it PubMed, you said?
PubMed.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And through this, especially now, we've all been quarantined, right? We've all had this COVID, this pandemic, and it's changed.
Hopefully we haven't had COVID.
Right. I mean, we haven't, right? But going through what COVID has done with our lifestyles, right?
Exactly.
So how has it affected you, and even working with your clients? Because even, the mindset. So even with eating and people staying home more, what I'm finding is more clients are telling me I'm eating more, I'm drinking more. I'm having a harder time staying motivated because they're being quarantined and all of this, they're at home. So what has been your experience during this time yourself and with your clients?
Well, it's tough for everybody, but, I work, globally. So, I've always done Zoom or Skype, throughout, globally. And in person, those came to a halt for a while. But now the calls are just coming in. I need you, right? But this is the thing. When we're in doubt or we're in fear, that creates trouble for us. So we want to soothe our feelings. And so we reach for the things that you mentioned. For example, the unhealthy foods or too much food, alcohol, for example, drugs, whatever soothes you. And unfortunately, people feel as if they are disempowered during this period of time, when nothing could be further from the truth. And here we go again with choices, right? We all have choices to make, and we all are powerful. And so when, there's a quote that I often put out on social media that I say, you control the food, not the other way around. And people think that it's that food that's controlling them, and it really isn't. It's really a matter of choice and making that decision. So when you make that decision, that's your first step towards empowering yourself. It's like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so the first thing I tell them is to get rid of all the junk in the house. Just get rid of it, throw it out. Don't even donate it, because you don't want anyone else you don't want to give inflammation to anybody else. And also there are two things that I think are very important for people to do, is to clean up the trash, which I call trash food, out of your house, and then get some healthy food in the house. Because if you say, well, I'll put it away, that chunky monkey, ice cream, I'll put it in the very back of the freezer where I won't see it. Well, we all know where that chunky monkey is when we're vulnerable, right? Because we're going to be, there's no question about it. We're going to be feeling vulnerable, and we're going to want to soothe our feelings with food. And so don't do it. You have to engineer your environment for success. And that is the one thing that, is really crucial in terms of creating success in your healthy success in your life. Actually, all success in your life is about being proactive, taking action, gaining knowledge, applying that knowledge. And part of it is with food is not saying it's okay to do it. It's okay, to soothe your feelings, but there's different ways you can do that, right?
Right.
And so if you do get off track, don't beat yourself up. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, be proactive and take charge.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I always say too, like, take it all out of your house when you don't have it.
Yes.
During those times where you're feeling the most vulnerable, you're not going to go for it. It won't be there.
Right.
That's so important. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you did a great workshop with me one time, and people from my clients from my gym, and we talked so much about nutrition and bringing the good foods in. And we also talked a lot about gut health and inflammation in the gut. And you gave like gold beyond belief during that workshop. And so I want more people to hear about gut health from you, because it is so much. People are, even during this time, it's even emotions, right? So we hold emotions in the belly. Our bellies are our second brain, and there's so much inflammation there. And I want people to learn about gut health, how important it is to take care of your gut, and what the difference between probiotics and prebiotics are. So you can give us some information on your tips of how to calm down the inflammation in the gut. That's gold.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, it's so important, because our immune system, our weight, our brain health, every single area of our health is directly connected to our gut. And that includes our oral health, our skin health, any area in your body there's a direct, like, for example, the skin gut axis, it's called, or the gut brain axis, for example. So 90% of our immune system resides within our gut. 90% of the serotonin made, which is the neurotransmitter I call the happy transmitter, is made not in the brain, but it's made in the gut. And our weight is directly tied to our gut health, so that it's dependent upon the amount, the abundance of healthy bacteria and the diversity of them, right? And we have 500 million brain cells in the lining of our gut. So yes, our gut is extremely important. Even depression is directly connected to the health of our gut. So if you're experiencing sadness or depression, then helping change your gut health is going to have a huge impact upon that as well. So I like to talk about the gut as if it's a garden. So the very first thing I have my clients do is pull the weeds of their gut garden. And that means that you're going to stop eating junk foods and sugar, refined processed foods, crackers, cakes, cookies, chips. All of those foods are feeding the very bad gut bugs that are causing weight gain and poor health and inflammation throughout the body. So if we can stop feeding those gut bugs, we are going to markedly change our weight. These unhealthy gut bugs store more fat than they actually help store fat. They change the microbiome so that we store even more fat. And so what we want to do is to just stop feeding those gut bugs. Sugar, in fact, not only feeds them, they thrive off of this. They cannot live without it. So when I say pull the weeds, that means you want to kick those unhealthy gut bugs to the curb, right? And so that's pulling the weeds. So you've got a nice garden to work with now. So the next thing we want to do is plant a healthy gut garden with probiotics. And that is planting very healthy bacteria from cultured or fermented foods, right? And cultured and fermented mean pretty much the same thing. And that means things like yogurt have these healthy bacteria, but not sugar, because again, sugar feeds those healthy bacteria. So if you buy those fruited yogurts, then it's not doing you any good. So you want kefir is another one. A lot of people don't realize that pickles and olives are really great for gut health, very, very good for gut health. Cottage cheese, all cheeses, especially aged cheese, is really good for your gut health. Sauerkraut, research shows that eating 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut will change your gut health within 3 days. So eat 1 tablespoon of sauerkraut each day, your gut health will change. And by the way, the gut and the liver are the 2 organs that change rapidly. They are very quick to change. So again, within days, as you can see with the sauerkraut research. And so that's planting your gut garden, right? So you want to just at least once a day get something that's really has probiotic, healthy bacteria in it.
So a quick question about cheese, because even dairy they say eat dairy, don't eat dairy. So where's the line of where cheese is good and cheese is not good?
That's really a personal preference, and one that you will find if you eat cheese, you will know that you're not feeling that great, right? You will know you're sensitive to either the lactose or the casein, anything within the cheese that could be causing a food sensitivity. You'll have gas, bloating, diarrhea, something to that effect. And so that's something that's part of health too, is the self-experimentation, because everything that health experts talk about is general information. So we all need to take it one step further and really experiment, if you will, upon ourselves to see what works best for us. But generally, like for the example, this gut health that I'm talking about, that we know for a fact that's works. Healthy gut is part of the human condition. It should be anyway. And so so we want to plant the gut garden with these healthy gut bugs, right? Next, we want to healthy bugs, bacteria, not gut bugs. Next, we want to fertilize our gut garden. And we do that with specific types of veggies, fibers that are really beneficial in creating an abundance of healthy gut bugs. They love this food. They thrive off of it, where sugar feeds the unhealthy gut bugs and all those unhealthy foods. It's just the same, that these really important fibers for our gut, these healthy gut bugs actually love and create optimal health, optimal brain health, a lean body, and you name it, energy to burn, and the list goes on. So examples of these fibers are called prebiotic fibers, not pro, which we just talked about. The cultured fermented foods are probiotic, but prebiotic fibers are like artichokes, beans, bananas, onions, leeks, garlic. These are examples. Dark chocolate is one. Green tea is another one that's really good for your gut. So these foods actually feed the healthy gut bugs. And when you have a gut that's basically, you have a blank slate to work with, once you kill off those bacteria, when you stop feeding them, you're good to go in terms of really changing your gut health. And from then on, it's just a matter of making sure you get some of those fibers into your diet every day. Now, there's beta hydroxybutyrate, BHB, which is a ketone that's produced from like intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet, which promotes a healthy gut as well. So, whichever route option you choose is fine.
Wow, I love the way you explain that. Pull the weeds from your gut garden.
Thank you.
And then feed the weeds, and
Yeah,
then fertilize, or not the weeds, but the new garden, Take the weeds out. Yeah, pull the weeds out.
Yeah.
Get new soil, and then fertilize this new soil. That is beautiful. That's a great way to understand it.
And it's really important for people to know that that sugar and refined flours, for example, are creating a permeable gut, microscopic little holes in there. We have what are called tight junctions. It should be tight. The only thing that should be going in and out between the gut membrane, which is really 1 cell thick. It's very thin and very easy to open these tight junctions up. When that happens, lipopolysaccharides are able to get through. Fine when they're in the gut, but toxic to our body in terms of our health if we allow this to continue, if they get through those little holes. So little microscopic proteins get through, they circulate throughout the blood system, set up anywhere in the body, causing autoimmune disorders, and any type of inflammatory condition can result from a leaky gut. That's what I'm talking about. So we want to make sure that we eat in such a way that our gut health is, we have a basic foundation for gut health, which I just described, and then we want to add in these supplements and such as collagen powder, for example, which helps create a healthy membrane within the lining, the lining of the gut. And that's super important because cell membranes, gut membranes, they're actually some of the most important components to our health. Without them, we're really sitting ducks without the health of them.
Right. And collagen, there's so many great things about collagen. And I know it's so important to have the good collagen, because I think there's so many out there. What would you recommend is a good type of collagen or a good brand to intake?
I really think first of all, it should be organic from grass-fed, or if you can, and a multiple from fish and other different types of sources like beef, for example, are great sources of collagen. If you can get the mix of them, that's best, but any type really is going to be beneficial for your gut health. And also, it's not just good for your gut, it's good for your skin health, it's good for your nails and your hair, and it just really it doesn't hurt. And they come in flavors as well, so you can have chocolate, vanilla, just throw it in some water, some any type of nut milk if you want that, so your smoothie, so really easy to take.
Yes, I add mine into my protein shake.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I love it. So I'm like, okay, I am hooked on my collagen supplement.
Yeah, they're really good for you.
Yes. Now, I had a client ask me this question to ask you. And this is big too, going on right now out there, is intermittent fasting versus keto.
Mm-hmm.
What are the two distinct differences, and which one would be better for someone? I mean, I know they're going to need to know which one will work best for them, but what are the key things that make them different? Or
Right.
how are they?
Right. Okay. So intermittent fasting is simply not eating for a period of time, right? Intermittently. And that means that, for example, if when you sleep at night, those 8 hours, you're fasting for 8 hours, right? And that's so not eating is intermittent fasting. There are different ways you can do it. There's 12-12, there's 16-8, and it just simply means that, say you stop eating at 7 o'clock at night, you had your dinner, right? And then your next meal is at 7 in the morning. That's 12 hours of fasting right there. And that's very good for your health. And so if you want to even make it even better for you, you can extend it until, say, 12 or 1. So your first meal is at lunch, for example. And the key with intermittent fasting is that you are getting into you're really, the best way to describe it is you're allowing your cells to do their housekeeping, the kind of housekeeping, cellular cleanup they never get to do when you're eating. Because we Americans, especially Americans, are eating 24/7, it seems. And we have, we're constantly metabolizing food, and the cells are going through these machinations that never have time to stop and clean up the cell. So all of these, say our mitochondria, are creating energy for our body for us. And that creates a lot of debris within the cell. So it's called autophagy. And when we experience autophagy, we experience marked cellular health, okay? It's a detox, essentially, a cellular detox. And so the thing I like about intermittent fasting is that you don't have to go low carb. You don't have to be really stringent about your diet, which I really would love people to be, but you can't, nobody's perfect, right? And so there's research out there that shows that people benefit from intermittent fasting, even if they're eating a really crappy diet. So, which I don't recommend, but fasting is really a great tool, and it's easy to do once you start doing it. And you just, for example, if you want to you can, I always say, I wrote a book called The Beginner's Guide to Intermittent Fasting.
Yes, and I loved that. Thank you so much for that book. That made it very easy.
Very
Yes.
much. And it really guides the reader very easily into how to do it. So some people choose to initially stop snacking during the day. That's how they begin to train their body to use their fat for fuel and rely and keep their glucose and insulin down. But most people will delay their breakfast an hour or 2 hours and then 3 hours until lunch, right? Ideally, to hit deeper autophagy, you want to go 16 to 18 hours for women. Women don't respond as favorably to longer fasting periods. Some do, just as in every case, we all need to experiment for ourselves. But I go usually 18 hours, 16 to 18 hours, and it seems just fine for me. So, intermittent fasting produces ketones, just like the ketogenic diet. And the difference is, one is you're not eating for a period of time, and you can eat pretty much whatever you want, right? Which I hope is a healthy choice. And then the ketogenic diet is a very low carb diet that is really 50 grams of carbohydrates a day or less. And, you think about 50 grams of carbs, that's nothing. That's 1 cup of pasta, right? And so if you want to get vegetables in there to really the fibers for your healthy gut, you're going to have to use a lot of those vegetables for your carb intake. And if you have a lot of weight to lose, belly fat, etc., 25 grams or less of carbohydrates a day. And if you don't have any carbohydrates a day, then you're a carnivore diet. And that's, I have yet to, recommend for anybody at this point, but it's working for many, many, many people, however, but I'm just, waiting for that research to come out. We don't have any right now. We do have people who've been doing it a long time and are doing fantastic. There's people who are curing their cancer by not eating vegetables. And it's really interesting because we all know the science of eating antioxidants and polyphenols, right, with these vegetables. So it's interesting to say the least. So setting that aside, the ketogenic diet is putting you in a state of ketosis. And that simply means your liver is burning fat, dietary fat, or your own fat stores for fuel. And this is why it's very effective in terms of people losing weight and everything that if you have a wish list for your health, the ketogenic diet can help with, because it's like intermittent fasting, the magic happens when you stop eating a lot, right? And you stop eating a lot of the junk and the carbs, and the inflammation goes away. So we have ketones that the body loves, the brain loves ketones, and the inflammasome, NLRP3, is produced is blunted rather when we are in ketosis. And that's huge, because the inflammation that I'm talking about here is the low level kind of inflammation that is the underlying cause of most illness, disease, faster aging, and weight gain. So that is really an important point. And also with any type of inflammatory condition we're talking about, 75% of Americans are walking around with this inflammation, this silent inflammation. They don't even know it. And this is the core underlying cause, like I said, illnesses such as heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, you name it, type 2 diabetes, obesity, the list goes on. And so if we can stop this, then, you can't put that in a pill. Really, you cannot. It's really about our diet, or eating, or what we eat. When we eat and what we eat is the key.
Right. So with some people, when they do the keto diet, they've been doing it for quite some time, so their carb intake is very, very low. And then all of a sudden they kind of get off and get back into it. So then the body goes back and forth again, the yo-yo of doing that. So is it good? Obviously, it's not good going back and forth, but does someone really just have to now, if I do keto, I need to be on that for as long as I possibly can? Or is there a way to add carbs back in here and there?
Actually, it's good for you. You don't want to stay in ketosis 24/7. Now, those with epilepsy might want to do that. That's a different story, depending on your health condition. But if you're just looking for general cellular health, optimizing it, or weight loss, for example, or muscle gain, etc., athleticism, then going in and out of ketosis is really the best way to do it. So, you do 5 days of being on a ketogenic diet, then you do a carb refeed, right? Say on Saturday. And then you can eat a lot of carbs that day, and enjoy yourself.
Going crazy, yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, or just Saturdays, for example. And that is really beneficial to your health, because what you're doing is you're teaching your body it's become metabolically flexible, right? It can use its fat for fuel, or it can use glucose for fuel. And glucose is simply the breakdown of carbohydrates from the carbohydrates that you eat. And so that's really the best way to be, because when most people, especially us in the United States, are sugar burners. We have a diet very high in 300 grams an average of 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. right?
Wow.
And so we're dependent upon those carbohydrates for glucose, for fuel. Our body needs it. So that's why I wrote the book, The Ketogenic Key, so that the reader would understand exactly how to do it and do it right and not, end up miserable and fail at it. Because they'll never go back once they go, I don't like my father, for example, my own father. So yeah, it's really a wonderful, when your body is able to say intermittent fast and do the ketogenic diet at the same time, your insulin is flat, your glucose is flat, your body's able to then do the cellular housekeeping I was talking about earlier, and all sorts of wonderful metabolic markers improve. Your insulin level, your sensitivity rather, your triglyceride levels, your cholesterol. Your cholesterol may go up, but it's the good kind of cholesterol that goes up, the HDL. And your inflammatory markers go way down, your blood glucose goes way down. Just all the metabolic markers you want to optimize are optimized in doing either intermittent fasting or the ketogenic diet, or both. So yeah, if you have a lot of belly fat, say you're over 40 and you need to get rid of excess fat, combining intermittent fasting with a ketogenic diet is very effective. And then throw in some strength training and you're good to go. It sounds like torture, but it really isn't. It's not. Because the ketogenic diet, you can eat really well on the ketogenic diet.
This is great information, because it really gives the basis of both of them, the differences and the benefits. And from what I'm hearing is that these can both be a lifestyle going forward. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want people to understand too, is that these things aren't fads. It's like really learn it, do the research it, so that it can be the lifestyle of how you're eating going forward.
Yes, and no, they're not fads. They've been around for, eons. The intermittent fast, we know, different countries fast for religious purposes, and it's the way the human evolved, was that we didn't always have access to food 24/7 like we do now. And it's appalling when you see the kind of foods that are out there that the food manufacturers or engineers, if you will, create, that really the food becomes more addictive, if you will, than the food if it's just whole foods.
Very good information. Please get her 2 books. They are fantastic, and they give you such great gold to help you get started with either one of these. And which brings me to my next question for you. If someone is really just starting to get into the healthy routine, or trying to clean up their diet and trying to lose that quarantine 15.
Right, or 20.
Exactly, 15, 20, 25, right? Like, what would be your top, let's say, 3 to 5 tips to just get them started back into the healthy direction?
Okay, so the first one is to eliminate sugar from the diet. Okay, very important, because again, gut connection, right, everywhere around the body. It reverses inflammation in the body when you do that, and you will see an immediate change with your health. It is remarkable. Okay, so eliminate sugar is the first one. The second one, that's also just as important, is to get rid of the inflammatory oils people are using. These oils are refined, processed oils that are causing a myriad of health conditions and poor brain health. So these oils are canola oil, corn oil, vegetable oil, and corn, vegetable oil, and trying to remember what the last one is, but they're terrible for you, right? They're refined, they're processed, and they're not serving you. They're also promoting poor gut health. And that's what we don't want. So soy oil, for example, I don't know if I mentioned that one. Research just found out that it is deteriorating brain function.
Wow.
And this is recent research. So whatever you do, and food manufacturers use it in almost every product, same with canola oil. You wouldn't touch these oils if you knew how they were manufactured, right? They are deodorized, they smell horribly. Canola oil used to be called rapeseed oil, and they couldn't sell it. It used to be a byproduct of equipment or refinery oil. And so you can see how the body cannot process something like that. So these oils need to go, and you need to do an oil change. And it needs to be olive oil, swap them out for olive oil. Coconut oil is another good one. Avocado oil is another good one. Olive oil needs to be heated gently because it can't withstand that higher heat. And I think it's important for people to know that fat, when it's heated, changes into an inflammatory state. And that when you get an oil like avocado oil or coconut oil or lard, for example, many people are afraid of it. Tallow is another one, duck fat. They can withstand really high heat and it not degrade and not become inflammatory. But olive oil cannot do that.
What about MCT oil? MCT oil can't do the high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want it cold. Yeah. And MCT oil is a fantastic oil. Good. You brought that up. I love that oil because it is metabolized immediately. It's not stored as fat generally. And so it's really good for your liver. It really promotes immediate ketones in the body. No ketogenic diet. Just
right.
MCT oil, and good for brain health. So again, your brain loves ketones. So
I add that in my coffee every morning.
Oh, that's so good for you.
What about ghee?
Ghee is excellent. Yep, ghee is excellent. So it's another really good. Ghee, for those that don't know, tastes like butter. But the dairy, most of 99.9% of the dairy in ghee is removed.
I love cooking with ghee.
Yeah.
And a lot of people haven't heard of it. And I'm like, oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. Thanks to our Indian cuisine.
Right?
Indian friends.
Yes. Those are two great tips. What's one more?
So one more is probably to what, okay, so there's two really. So the first one is to drink water. And I know people hear that a lot. People don't realize how important it really is for your overall health and your gut health as well. So when you are mildly dehydrated, you crave sugar. You can have headaches, joint pain, because the joints are lacking fluid, right? And so they shrink and become tight. And that's why when you have joint pain, drink some water and you'll see some success there with the pain. And weight gain occurs because when your cells are mildly dehydrated, cellular function slows down, and so does your metabolism as well. So you want to make sure you drink that water. Again, cellular function slows down, and so does your energy level, right? So when you drink water, and I highly recommend everyone drink it as soon as they wake up, the very first thing before they get their coffee, drink that water, because you'll see the difference. I mean, it's like, boom. You know, you think about you've been asleep for 8 hours, you're mildly dehydrated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What great tips. Those are fantastic. I also have one more question for you. Sure. I mean, you've given us so much gold here, and I love all of the analogies, like get an oil change. I love that. Do an oil change in your body because it'll
changes
completely,
everything.
Yeah, completely change you.
Just even cutting out the sugar, even if you just cut out the refined oils, that's going to markedly get rid of all that inflammation in the body. You know, it's really going to be a huge step. That and sugar combined is just huge.
Right. And I've noticed as I'm maturing, I like to use that word, changes in my own body. And I'm so, I've been in fitness for years and competed and all that goodness. And I knew I could change my diet so quickly and drop pounds for a photo shoot or whatever I was preparing. And as I mature, I see that is
Yeah.
changing.
Yes, it does.
And I'm like, what in the world?
I
How?
know.
I never thought I'd see the day, and I am. And so it's really, and I've always been a very healthy eater, but it's even making me more consciously aware of everything as I mature. And so, especially for women, I believe, because we women have the hormones that go a little nuts as we mature as well. Like, what may be some tips that you could give us as we see our bodies changing and adjusting and maybe not reacting the way they used to be with certain foods or stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, we actually touched on a couple of them today. So one that is beyond important is to stop the sugar, because sugar causes what's called a glycating effect within the body. So it's the browning effect is what it's called. And so we all know.
Darn sugar.
I know, right? Darn it. As the holidays come up. But, you know, we've seen those browned potatoes on the stove, right? Or the grilled charred steak, or just fried chicken. Anything that's crispy is caramelized essentially. So that same reaction, that browning effect, happens within the body as well. And it's because sugar and proteins come together and they create that chemical caramelization reaction within the body, and not just inside the body, but on the outside, such as your skin as well. And so if you eat a lot of sugar, you have a lot of circulating glucose within the body, you're going to see faster aging without a doubt. So that's just one. The collagen that we talked about as well is really great for refirming. That's a good word.
Right.
You know, it helps build collagen, which is the structure that keeps wrinkles away. You know, it keeps the foundation of your skin tight and helps to anyway. We can't stave off aging, but we can slow it down for sure. Yeah. And then I think supplementation is really important. You know, there are things that people can take that can really help reduce inflammation in the body. Again, they call it inflammaging, aptly named, because of the glycation and the sugar and the browning effect, right? So if you can stop that, there are a couple supplements that do. One that's very effective at doing that is called carnosine. It protects your cells from this browning effect that happens.
What is it called?
Carnosine.
Carnosine. Oh, okay.
Yes. And so that's,
I'm writing this down.
yeah, that's a really excellent one that I highly recommend. And then another one is turmeric. Well, actually, curcumin is the active component of turmeric, and that is really crucial, not just for shrinking belly fat, by the way, but also for brain health, for markedly getting rid of inflammation in the body. In fact, research shows that curcumin or turmeric is as effective as, say, the ibuprofens out there. I was going to say the brand names, but we all know the NSAIDs, right?
Right.
As effective. So if you have any joint pain, you want to slow down inflammation, you know, aging. Inflammation is one of the root causes of aging. So if you want to slow it down, make sure you take care of that inflammation in the body.
Beautiful. Those are amazing tips. Thank you so much. Yay. My goodness. This is like a plethora of greatness right now.
I love it.
Love it.
So
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I have some life lesson questions for you, Dr. Lori.
Uh-oh.
You've given us so much, and I know 2020 we always have these grand visions, right, every year, and what it's going to be like, and it's changed so much, but we've had so many life lessons. So I wanted to ask you just a couple questions, and you'll fill in the blank. But one of them is actually just a question. First of all, is what is your own morning routine?
So in the morning, the first thing I do is drink water. As soon as I get up, I drink the water that's on my nightstand, and it's about 20 ounces. So I drink 20 ounces of water, and then I'll go get some coffee, and then I will do some squats. You know, I do like 10 squats just to get the metabolism rolling, and then I open up my email. And so after I answer my email, I take my dog Tessa for a walk. And so that's what we do. And then I come back and get to work.
Beautiful. Very nice. Now, this is a fill in the blank. I'm living my best life when?
When I'm living my best life, when I can travel and see the world and help others and have time to relax. That to me is a balanced life.
Beautiful balance. I love it.
Yeah.
Next one of my biggest aha moments was?
Ooh, one of my biggest aha moments. Well, that's a good one. I don't know how to answer that, because I guess, would it be like in going through life? Yeah, going through life.
Yeah, going through life.
You know, I really can't think of anything right now. Biggest aha moment would be, I guess, that I know what it is, that I was powerful enough to do what I wanted to do. And remember when I told you about changing careers, you know, I was in my 40s then, and I did it. So that was like, oh, that's pretty empowering, you know, that I did all that, went back to school again and got those degrees, and then started creating my own company. And then, yeah.
That's an amazing story. That's a great aha.
It took me a while, but I did it.
It's okay, right? Because sometimes there's so many.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you're like, what's the biggest one? Your next one, what I know for sure is
that people are genuinely wonderful and kind. That I know for sure. And the reason that came to mind is because there's so much negativity out there right now in the world. And we see these spots on TV that just show monstrous behavior. But I know that that's not the human spirit. I know in my own life, almost everybody I've met has been wonderful and kind throughout my life.
beautiful. That's so true. Thank you for that reminder.
Thank you. Thank you.
And your last question, what has been your biggest takeaway from 2020 so far?
Well, that I've had success in my business, and that if you apply yourself, you know, I wrote my last book in 2020, so, and had it published. And so if, you know, it just, when everything seems overwhelming, if you just are consistent with it, then you will realize your dreams.
Oh, beautiful. And please tell the audience how they can follow you and find you and get your amazing books, because you have Fatflammation, right? How to fight
Right. Yeah.
fasting, keto, like you have some great content.
So you can find me on my website at drlorishemek.com, and you can find all of my books on Amazon. So I've got Fire Up Your Fat Burn, I have The Beginner's Guide to Intermittent Fasting, I have The Ketogenic Ghee, and How to Fight Fatflammation. And so that's about inflamed fat cells that slow the metabolism, and it has a really delicious 3-week plan in it. And my last book that was just published, The Ketogenic Ghee, is not just about the ketogenic diet, but it offers different ways to achieve ketosis, like intermittent fasting. So if you don't want to go on the ketogenic diet, you can do intermittent fasting or other ways that the book actually talks about and guides you through. So, and I'm on social media as well, like Jeanette. On Twitter, at Lori Shemek, and on Instagram, Dr. Lori Shemek, and on Facebook, Dr. Lori Shemek.
Beautiful. Please follow her. She is one amazing woman, and I want to thank you for all the work that you do in the world and for your knowledge and your research and all that you've done. I'm always so honored to have you and call you as my friend. And you've been a guide for me, and I love all the content that you do and what you're doing. So thank you so much for not only being a guest today, but for being who you are in the world. You're one amazing, powerful woman.
You're wonderful.
And so, yes, big hug. Not only is it Workout Wednesday, but you're one of my, it's Woman Crush Wednesday.
Right.
You're so awesome. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for all of that amazing information. My goodness.
You're wonderful. So thank you for having me. You're a beautiful soul, and I appreciate it very much.
Oh, thank you. So make sure to listen to this either on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and get the gold that was shared today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Bye. See you
Bye.
later.